don't know, but it's so crazy to even think about. So after waiting for a while, he started to worry that it was taking too long for the living room to fill up with these fumes. He was also afraid that she was going to wake up in the middle of all of this. And if she did, then what? He couldn't kill her any other way, or it would be obvious that she was murdered and that it wasn't self-inflicted. So he carefully moved the hose closer to her. And then he tucked it underneath the quilt that she was laying underneath as a blanket. Now, what's incredibly sad is Leslie did wake up, but she was unfortunately so overcome and weak already by these fumes that she couldn't fight back. She couldn't muster the strength to do anything. She was able to yell for her oldest son, Matthew, but it wasn't loud enough to do any good. She knew what was happening to her. She knew what her husband was doing to her, but she was too weak at that point to do anything. And the entire time that she was trying to call for her son and trying to muster up the strength to move, Colin was just watching from the living room doorway, having the door just cracked open enough to where he could see everything. Then, once he was sure that Leslie was dead, he went over, turned off the ignition of the car, and he waited 15 more minutes before going over to her body because he wanted to be sure that he wouldn't accidentally take himself out in the process and be overcome by the fumes. So he picked up Leslie's body and he put it in the trunk of the car. Then he threw a bedsheet and a bike on top of her, trying to hide her body and conceal it. He then called his girlfriend Hazel to let her know that Leslie was dead. And now, the next step of the plan was in motion. They needed to kill Trevor. They had come up with a secret code so that the other person would know what was going on and what time of the plan it all was, kind of without actually having to say into the phone, like, I just killed my wife, time for us to go kill your husband. So Colin would call Hazel, but hang up before the first ring, so that the only thing that Hazel would hear on her end is a click. Now that's how it was described, because remember, this was a landline thing at the time, not a cell phone. So once Hazel heard the click that night, she knew that Leslie was gone and that Trevor would be next. So Colin arrived at the Buchanan family home, and the scene was pretty much the same as at the Howell home. It was late at night, the kids were in bed asleep. Trevor was sleeping in his bedroom while Hazel snuck off to meet Colin outside and go over the plan. Now, Hazel didn't want to be the one to set everything up, which I don't know if she thought that that made her any less responsible for what happened, but for whatever reason, she decided to sit in the room next to the bedroom while Colin did all of the dirty work in the plan. So Colin tried to set everything up like he had done with Leslie. He placed the hose on the pillow next to Trevor's head and then sat in the doorway, just waiting for the effects and the fumes to kick in, hoping that Trevor wouldn't wake up. And again, just as reckless as before, with all of the kids still inside the house. Now, the difference between Leslie and Trevor is that Trevor did wake up like Leslie, but he was strong and he fought. He was half asleep and still a little groggy, but he was able to lift his head off the pillow and look around, and he was very confused by the hose that was just sitting next to his face. He also was confused why Hazel wasn't in bed next to him. But before he could figure out what was happening, Colin stormed into the room, grabbed the hose, and he tried to put the bedsheet over Colin's head.